Hello, Primes. Yes, I have returned because I finally figured out something to record. Well, had the Arthur and Mary Beth dancing, but that was recorded a long time ago. So, I was trying to think of something to upload because I'm out of ideas. And at first, I was scared that Coppa was going to destroy me. If you don't know what Coppa is, look it up or look up the FTC, something like that. Because I have Transformers related content, if it's in the thumbnail and my content isn't labeled for kids, that correlation is going to screw up and they could fine me $42,000 per video. I was assured by PewDiePie, nonetheless, that it will not affect smaller YouTubers like myself, so that's a positive. And, well, actually that changed now because I'm 16. I'm now legally eligible to be sued. If I was still 15, then they can't sue me. I'm underage. Now that I'm 16, still, I think the Coppa and FTC thing is stupid because they literally are taking away people's rights. There are people who need the money and they can't get a job, right? And Coppa is going to come in and take away their ad revenue because what they do is toy reviews or, children's gaming. Well, because they do that, they have to set their content for kids or they get sued $42,000. Then if they set it to for kids, then they don't get much ad revenue off it, and they're doomed. I'm not monetized, so that's kinda what makes me believe that I'm safe, because they can't see me, I'm not monetized, so I'm safe. So if you have a channel and you're worried about Coppa 2, if it's small enough, if it's under 1,000 subscribers, you'll be fine, don't worry. So anyway, top 11, odd number, but I couldn't rule out certain characters. Top 11 Rockstar characters. In case you didn't know, I'm a fan of Rockstar. Got PS4, Red Dead 2, and GTA 5. Those are the only games I have. So, yeah, I like Rockstar games. I do like High Moon Studios too. They're my second favorite, but they don't really exist anymore. Number 11, Packy. I don't know where to start with the McCreary family. The fact that Packy is such a nice sort of brother to Niko, you see how he's a good person to hang out with. Personally, I wouldn't mind hanging out with Packy. He seems like a really nice guy. He's also Irish, so I guess we have that in common. Number 10, Trevor. He made it on my top 11 favorite characters. If you had asked me about a year ago who my favorite character from any Rockstar game is, I would have said Trevor. Now that I look at it, yeah, not so much. He is compulsive, that's for sure. He's disgusting, and he's scary. On the bright side, at least he can be pretty funny. But what I like about him is how, even though he may seem like a freak, he's still got this human side that we rarely see. Spoiler alert, but, Grand Theft Auto 5 is like 7 years old almost now. But if you choose to kill Michael, or if you choose Death Wish, which doesn't kill Franklin, people. It doesn't kill Franklin. It takes out Devin, Steve, Wei Cheng, and Stretch. It's the good ending. It's the canon ending. But anyway, if you choose either of those options, Trevor gets to go to his trailer and he meets his mother. She asks him to get some Dilutamol. He comes back with it. She's gone. He breaks down. It shows a really human side to a character that we really don't see as human. So I like that depth of character. Number 9, Javier. You might be asking, Javier, where do I know that name from? Both Red Dead Redemption games. Javier, he really didn't deserve to be captured or killed in RDR 1. He was in the camp in RDR 2. He's a really good guy. Like, he knows how to play guitar, I'll give him that. He's a good singer. He sees Arthur and John as brothers, despite, thinking that they're traitors. His actor, Gabriel Sloyer, he actually said that in the final mission, he doesn't point his gun at Arthur and John because despite the fact that they're video game characters, he still sees them as his brothers. So a small detail is he holds his gun up like this, he never actually points it at them. So that's a nice little detail. But in RDR 1, John still has to capture him. You can either capture him or kill him. I never kill him. I can never bring myself to do that. He's such a good guy. Like, why would you want to kill Javier Escuela? Like, why? I believe I'm at 8. Bill. Bill Williamson. That's not his real name, by the way. He takes Bill from the Williamson. Catch my drift? His real name is Marion. In a secret event kind of thing in camp in Chapter 6, Micah will be asking Bill where he got his name from, or something like that, and Bill will be all like, the Bill comes from Williamson. Bill is not my real name. And Micah's like, well, what is it? Tell me. I won't tell anybody. It's Marion. Oh boy, Micah's reaction. You should never tell Micah something like that. But just like Trevor, Bill also has a human side that we never get to see. He's a bully, yes, but the reason for that is because he had such a complicated childhood. Who doesn't? They're in a freaking gang, Who wouldn't have a complicated childhood? Who wouldn't, feel the way Bill does? And then once the gang gets destroyed, no spoiler warning here, whatever. Once the gang gets destroyed, the only people Bill saw as a family are also destroyed. So, in RDR 1, he goes a little, off the rails. So, that's why he seems a lot more mad in that game. Number 7. Where am I? Niko. This is such an underrated character, Niko Bellic. People will look at him and they'll say, I don't think I know him. I mean, he does look fairly generic, not gonna lie, but he also looks kind of badass if you ask me. Niko Bellic, as one of the first non-American characters that you play as in a Grand Theft Auto game, he took quite a few people by surprise. Now, it's unfortunate, but we will never see Niko Bellic in another GTA game again. It's unfortunate, but Michael Hollick, his actor, he was paid $100,000 in a game that made over $500 million. And they don't have contracts that, pay them until the game stops making money. They make the game and then they get paid. Simple as that. Well, Michael Hollick saw the sales for the game, few hundred mil at that point, and he only got paid $100,000. A lot of movies will pay more than that. Makes sense why he's not happy. But Niko Bellic, we see a character arc where he wants to get revenge on, the traitors of his old squad, but we see how that changes, right? He realizes that it's not worth it. Number 6. Big Smoke. This is a good one. He is most recognized for 2 lines. All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ. That is referenced. That's been referenced till the cows came home, I tell you. And it'll probably be referenced moving forward in Rockstar's gaming career, right? So, there's that. And then there's Big Smoke's order. 2 number 9s, a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip, 2 number 7s. I can't remember how it went at the moment. I haven't played the game in a while, actually. But, yeah, he seems like such a good guy, right? Typical, guy who likes to eat a lot, so naturally is overweight, and they make fun of him for it in the game. Some might consider that because he was picked on for that, he turned against the gang. Maybe. We're never really given a clear motive as to why he betrayed the gang, but there's always somebody who betrays somebody in Rockstar's games. Like, literally, look at every Rockstar game. Somebody betrays somebody. Then again, the story is also very similar. Somebody goes from the bottom and they work themselves up to the top of the crime ladder, I guess. Well, Big Smoke tried to do that. He acted like the protagonist, but it didn't work. But it was true. When he died, he said, "When I'm gone, everybody's gonna remember my name, Big Smoke." He wasn't wrong. It's 2020 and we still recognize the guy. Like, just saying the 2 words together, Big Smoke, you just picture him automatically, the green shirt and the bowler hat. Anyway, number 5. We're getting into the top 5s now. Michael DeSanta, or Michael Townley, whichever you prefer. Also with an interesting character arc not normally seen in a Rockstar game. So it's interesting how we got somebody, we get to see what Niko and CJ and Tommy all went through the aftermath here. We see Michael expressing, this is what they are going through now that they've worked themselves up the ladder. And we see how he's robbed and he's done all these crimes and stuff, and he just can't seem to escape from it. Well, Ned Luke, his actor, he actually wanted to get out of acting, but because he read the script for the character and liked it, he was like, alright, I'll give it one more shot. Same thing happens to Michael, so, I mean, the poetry of it all. So yeah, by the end of the game, he's different. We see character development. I mean, he's still depressed, obviously, like he is in the beginning of the game, but he's more, Let me give you an example. In Daddy's Little Girl, he pulls Tracy away from, her future, essentially. But in the mission, Family Reunited, instead of pulling her away from it, he switches it around so that she gets her future, but under his command. So, kind of a better changing character, but, he's trying to do better for his children now, as opposed to taking them away from what they enjoy. I mean, granted, I'm pretty sure he's still likely to smash Jimmy's TV, but, I mean, who wouldn't? I'm at number 4 now. John Marston. Oh boy, this is a classic character, okay? Before I even knew of Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, anything like that, if you had said John Marston, I would have been like, sounds like a badass. I wasn't wrong. Then I, got into Grand Theft Auto, and then people mentioned Red Dead here and there, and I was like, okay. Was that like a movie or something? And I knew that John Marston was the main character at that point. And then I figured out that he dies, and I'm like, well, that's unfortunate. But then again, that seems to happen a lot in Rockstar's other games. Well, yeah. Now that I know John Marston a little better now, I can see how he changed. He goes from being naive and brash and hot-headed in RDR2, 1899, and then by 1911 he's more responsible and a little smarter, but still dumb as rocks. And number 3, you're probably going to hate me for this, Arthur Morgan. He makes it to number 3. Arthur is a character that we know all too well. We shape the character. Roger Clark, his actor, even says that we are as much of Arthur as he is. Makes sense. I mean, all he really did was the motion capture and the voice work, and we're just telling him where to go and what to look like. Well, sure, I guess. We do shape the character so we can see what he's like. We can think, okay, well, he goes from being a criminal to a really good man. Not necessarily. You know, I mean, he could go from being a criminal to still a really bad man. If you go back for the money and you have low honor, you know, doesn't really do a lot for the character, but it shows how horrible some players can be. 2. Dutch van der Linde. Oh boy. Where to start? He is such a sophisticated character. He starts out more human and wise, and he's the one who teaches John and Arthur how to read, right? How to write. Well, playing through Red Dead 2, you slowly begin to see just how, far gone he's going. How unstable he's getting. We see him slipping away from reality and going into his own fantasy, and forget the gang, forget everything about it. Let's go to Tahiti and be mango farmers. See how it worked out? The closest to Tahiti he ever got was Guarma, and let's just say, I don't think he ever wants to go back there again. Well, by the time where, John and Dutch meet on the mountain cliff thing in RDR1, Dutch, he's lost it, right? He's not the same man that raised John. Well, he doesn't want to give up, because if he did, that would just ruin his reputation. But he didn't want to be killed by John, the man that he raised. It doesn't work like that, right? So he'd rather die by his own hand. It's unfortunate, really. If you look at the character in RDR2 and you said, this man committed suicide, I would have been like, what? He falls off a mountain. Yeah, okay. Not really what we would have expected from a man who taught criminals how to read. Well, outlaws. Number 1. You're probably wondering who my number 1 character is. Shawn Maguire, of all people. Why exactly? Well, just like Packy, he's Irish, so we have that in common. He's also very witty and sassy and snarky, and I can relate to him a lot. In Red Dead Online, he says, I don't like being surprised. I don't like getting surprised. Well, let's just say his ending was a little surprising. when I was first playing Red Dead 2, I was just, walking down roads, and spoiler warning, but you already know this. Anyway, as they were walking down the street, and Arthur's like, hey, hold up, this don't feel right. And then Shawn's like, no, it don't feel right. I could have told you that. Bullet! And I was like, holy shit. I was shocked. I'm pretty sure everybody else was, too. If you played through the game the first time, and you see that, he's the first character who dies in the game. My favorite character is the first one that dies in the game. How does Rockstar judge that? How do they know who I'm gonna like? And then they just... gone. In Chapter 3, no less. Well, here you go. Chapter 3, and then... well, I don't like surprises. Boom. And he's the first character that dies, and it came out of nowhere. So nobody was expecting him to die. Nobody knew who was going to die. Nobody knew if anybody was going to die. But they just take somebody and they kill him off like that. It's like, what? And then as the story progresses, more and more people get killed off. And I'm like, is this the same game I started? Not really, actually. I'm gonna think of it. I think it's like 8 games in one. Well, I like Shawn most because, well, as Arthur says, finest whittler in all Ireland. That's true, I guess. And I also think it's funny. Shawn Maguire, Shawn McLaughlin. Okay? Just let that sink in. Shawn Maguire, Shawn McLaughlin. Shawn McLaughlin is Jacksepticeye. He can be hot-headed, slightly temperamental. So Shawn Maguire. Was Maguire based off of Jacksepticeye? I don't know. The thing is, though, he is the stereotypical redhead Irish thing. Most redheads aren't from Ireland. Most Irish people aren't redheads. I know that for a fact because I'm Irish. So, it's not really red. And, most Scottish people. That's where most of the redheadedness comes from, is Scottish, not really Irish. But I like Shawn more than I like the actual character of Irish from Red Dead 1 because he seemed way too stereotypical. Not really offensive, but too stereotypical. He was the drunk Irish guy. If I said drunk Irish guy, who would you think I'm talking about? It's a good one, right? I'm describing like 100 fictional characters. Probably not a single real one, though. Also, I think it's kind of ironic. Irish and Shawn, they both get shot in the head. If you don't know, if you read the newspaper in RDR 1 later in 1914, you can read that an Irish person was shot in the head. We know it was Irish. He's named Irish, like, how stereotypically Irish can you get? I'm at a loss. I mean, Nathan, I'm pretty sure it's an Irish name. I think. I don't know, I'll have to look it up later. But anyway, yeah, that's my favorite characters. And you'll notice that I didn't give too much reason as to why. And there's a very good reason for that. If I give too many reasons as to why each character is my favorite, I might end up shaping your opinions and changing them. And the thing is, you have to have your own opinion on these characters. So, what you should do is tell me who's your favorite character and give a simple reason why, you know? I mean, you don't have to, obviously, but who's your favorite character from any movie, game, TV series, book, and, you know, what makes you like them? What makes them unique from other characters in the series and other characters that are just like them in other series?